Beautiful friends, beautiful souls, I hope you're having a great day. The time has come once again to vibe with your tribe and feed your prediction addiction. Today, we have a lot to talk about. Starting with not long ago, Spirit sent out warnings to California and the West Coast, but mainly California in the high elevations, telling us that they would get record-breaking snow and that I saw visions of rescue efforts being taking place due to high amounts of snow, along with roofs caving in and traffic backed up on highways. Remember all those visions? Well, that's exactly what's been playing out over the past week in California and the higher elevations, especially the Sierra Mountains. Unbelievable. More than 12 feet of snow, 15 feet of snow in Yosemite, which was closed down. Remember Spirit telling us that parks would be closed down due to weather events. Well, that definitely happened at Yosemite over the past week. Now, I also showed you a video of cloud seeding that was on the local news in California, talking about how they were going to help the drought by cloud seeding, literally right before that big storm came in, the first one that brought all those floods. But wait until you see this. Today, I'm going to show you NASA actually has a cloud making machine. And this isn't the chemtrails that form into clouds above our head with toxicity in them. This isn't related to that at all, actually. It's kind of mind-blowing. So what would this mean for the future and the future of weather? Remember that guy saying you control the weather, you can control the world, a former president. Showed you that clip over the past few months. We're going to talk about that today. And you may also recall my visions and warnings that I saw around the Pow Pow event taking place at an amusement park or a state fair. That's exactly, and actually I even said perhaps Six Flags. Well, over the weekend, that grim prediction became a reality when Six Flags in Atlanta, Georgia had a Pow Pow event after they were overwhelmed with lots of little bratty kids. Interesting, right? Where are their parents at? Luckily, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, or as bad as I may have thought it would have been in accordance to my visions. But perhaps maybe there's something else. Because if you remember my 2024 predictions, Spirit did warn of many events coming revolved around amusement parks. Not just Pow Pow events, but other big events and accidents, so to speak. So could there be another Pow Pow type event coming in the near future when it comes to amusement parks and state fairs? What other warnings does Spirit have today if you happen to be going to the state fair or amusement parks, other than just being mindful? Don't let it spoil your fun. Be mindful and things will work out, and we'll talk about that today and what's going on with all these large groups of kids causing so much havoc. Where are their parents at? That's what I'd like to know. And how do they all get in the park without parental guardianship? They shouldn't be allowed in there without parents if you're under a certain age. That's just my opinion. So anyway, our friends in Canada will definitely recall, if you've been following me long enough, my prediction last year that Trudeau would be out in 2024 and that he would be called out on his corruption. Well, he is indeed being called out now. And Trudeau is in his 9 personal year numerology, which is all about endings and death of cycles. So how much time does Trudeau have left? Will Trudeau ever actually face any criminal charges? That's the big question that a lot of Canadians and people around the world are watching for, because it's time that corrupt politicians face the corruption in the legal system the way we would if it was us. It's not fair, right? So these corrupt politicians, especially those pushing for world dictatorship, that's the interesting one. Trudeau's a big feeder of the WEF. They always seem to walk. You notice that? They always seem to get away with it. So when will we see Justin Trudeau exit? And what did the tarot cards say this morning about Trudeau? I'm going to tell you all about that today. Last year, I also stated that Mitch McConnell would also be on his way out by this year. Indeed, McConnell just announced his resignation. I also predicted a rough road for Mitch McConnell when it comes to his health. Remember Spirit showing us that many politicians, CEOs, and high elite would begin to drop like flies. Well, in 2024, we're in 2024, and we've already seen so many high elite beginning with like the Rothschild, for example. Jacob, the former Prime Minister of Canada, just kicked the hay. Thomas Kingston, the son-in-law of the Kent Royals. Norway's King Harald was just hospitalized. And the son-in-law, Thomas Kingston, passed away only at the age of 48 years old. Wonder what that's all about. And also, Norway's King Harald has been hospitalized while on vacation. And it seems to me, and you might agree, that there's some type of a plague that's hitting the elite and the royals lately. So who could be next? And could there perhaps be something, perhaps maybe even sinister behind this whole thing? Because Spirit said this is just the beginning. Hold on tight. So much power is going to be lost and handed over to others during 2024 and even into 2025, but especially this year. And again, we're seeing it. We're seeing it a lot. We're going to see a lot more, and I'm going to tell you about that today. There has been a very obvious attack on our food. I've done many videos on it in the past, one of them called The Great Famine. You might want to go back and watch that. Very important videos. I'll try to remember to put links up above here so that you can catch those videos. I've been warning since January of 2020 to start stocking up and get ready for a future food crisis and shortages, which we are seeing in some places, but some people aren't seeing it, and they're kind of ignoring it and thinking the worry or concern has gone away, but it hasn't. We've seen all these food production plants in the United States and globally burning down suddenly, like the huge egg and chicken farms, lots of those. It's like there was an attack specifically on chickens and eggs. That was 2 years ago. And we have too many other really odd food-related tragedies that are happening, not to mention the global psychopaths are doing everything and what they're doing to our farmers globally with their new green agenda. Look at what that's doing. And all that while Bill Gates in China is still clearly buying up all the farmland and food-related stock options as well. Gates dumped all his stocks except for stocks that have to do with food companies. That should tell you something right there. So they clearly seem to have to see something that the rest of the world doesn't seem to see. They're very blinded to. In Paris, farmers are now being rounded up and arrested. Some even beaten in the process. We have the Dutch farmers, the farmers in Italy, and even farmers in India who are joining this fight against the new green agenda that is literally destroying farmers' way of life. And soon, friends, I assure you, soon, the farmers have been warning us about this for a couple years now. Starting with the farmers down in Texas started warning us about this. Remember when all the cattle started keeling over in the West out here in the United States? No coincidences there, just like the fires that are happening. No coincidence there either. So what's going to happen when it comes to our food in the near future? And more importantly, what's going to happen with the farmers? And what food shortages Spirit warned we would see? What about those? When are we going to see them? Are we seeing them? I'm sure they are in many countries and many places. So Spirit warned that this was all going to come. And look, inflation is absolutely ridiculous right now. Next, they want to strip away our natural food resources. They already are doing it. So look what happened again in Texas right now. Spirit said that we would see so many attacks like the one Spirit warned would come to Hawaii. Remember in my prediction, Spirit said that an attack is coming on Hawaii. It was like 2 weeks later that happened in Lahaina. There's no coincidences, and we know that was exactly that, an attack. Soon after Spirit's warning, we witnessed the Lahaina tragedy, but then Spirit also said that the same tragedy was going to hit other places, and it hit Chile. Same thing. It's where they want to build a smart city. They already filed all the paperwork before the fires began. How funny. Same thing they did in Lahaina. So there's a lot of evidence, friends, as you know. Just like with Lahaina, there's so much evidence that points to strong potential that this was all caused by some type of secret, weapon that really doesn't happen to be a secret at all anymore. So look at how everything that is blue remains unharmed. And we now know that lasers can't penetrate the color blue for some reason. Now in China, they're painting all the roofs to their homes and building their new homes with blue roofs. What's that tell you? I think we got our culprit right there. Them and along with the elite working behind them to get us into the WEF world of enslavement and dictatorships. That's what they're planning. So now we see what appears to be another attack, right now, both on land and as a diversion to divert people's attention away from the borders, of course, and an attack on the meat industry. As these fires are burning over 1 million acres in Texas, now the cattle don't have anything to eat because all the grass burned up. Thousands, I think up 100,000 or something, cattle have perished in these fires in Texas. And Spirit warned that Texas was a targeted state. Remember Spirit telling us that Texas is a targeted state, targeted by the evil elite and those who want to keep control of the United States. So was this a target? You let enough illegals in, you'll have enough illegals to vote. And just recently, Obama even said in a speech how, they can go vote and get away with it, and we'll never know. Good, nice of Obama to tell those illegals that, right? Did you watch that video clip? I don't have that one for you today. I should have got that together for you, but I forgot all about it. So they're blaming it now. This is what's interesting. They're blaming it now on the electric company, right? They already have lawsuits filed just since the fires began in Texas against the electric company, blaming it on the electric company and the power lines. Oh my God. I have deja vu. Do you have deja vu? Did we not hear this exact same thing in Lahaina? Wonder if that's what they're blaming the fires on in Chile too. Is this a pattern? Kind of like, when they take people out with their red scarves, pattern, that red ties, red scarves, whatever. They did that a few years back with Robin Williams and a bunch of others, all within the same month. They all just suddenly chose a red scarf or tie. Interesting, right? So not only Lahaina, but we also have future targets according to Spirit. So where is the next target? I'm going to give you a hint. Spirit warned us in the past that this state was also a targeted state. And so if you watch me long enough, you remember Texas was a targeted state, and Spirit mentioned another one, maybe a couple others, but I only remember the two. I'm going to tell you the other one because I have a big warning going out to our friends in that part of the country. And I'm going to tell you all about that today. More troubles with the illegals is going viral. You didn't need to be psychic to see that coming. Over 100 immigrants attacked a security guard at a Home Depot in Chicago. Spirit has sent warnings to Chicago in the recent past, if you recall. So could Chicago be now the home of several sleeper cells? Secret sleeper cells that probably aren't really secret either. Cells that have now that are going to become active, may become active in the near future, especially around election time. Of course, friends, what a better time to bring chaos, especially to the states where they want to make sure they win. I don't know what Chicago is. They're probably, I don't know what color they are. Don't really care, really. But pay attention to states where they want to win. That's where you can see maybe some sleeper cells suddenly become active. Especially, did you just know that United States military just ended 24,000 or 5% of job positions in what they're calling a reconstructive measure. Reconstructive measures as police and administrations across the country are, and in other countries too, like UK, England, they're doing the same thing where the police administrators are cutting detectives and cutting police officers. But why exactly? Don't we need them now more than ever, especially in the United States? It's a mess. So, and Paris is just as bad. Actually, Paris is worse. So is Biden lining up these jobs for the illegals? Is that what's really happening? Getting rid of the Americans and putting all the illegals in there so that they get, their votes, of course. I mean, what else would it be for? And like I said, Obama even just recently said and put out a message that illegals can vote. Isn't that even illegal? I would think that should be illegal too. So what does this mean for the future of the United States and the Roman Empire falling once again? And the rest of the world? Lots of stuff going on in this world right now. Remember, I just recently said that people would panic when their Facebook and Instagram accounts go down. Well, that happened today. Exactly as said. Now we got to sit back and wait for Twitter to go down next. Because remember, Spirit told us it would be an attack on Twitter. We know where that attack's coming from, to take that platform down, completely, but they won't succeed in the completely thing. I'm going to tell you about some strange warnings that are now showing up in advertisements about the coming eclipse on April 8th. Really creepy stuff, friends, really creepy stuff. And why are the elites selling everything? And more importantly, why are they building underground bunkers? Along with the governments globally who have built underground cities, basically. I've done a whole video on it in the past. A warning for our friends down in Florida. All that and a whole lot more on this episode number 107 of Tuesday's Prediction Updates. And y'all know what time it is.
It's tea time, baby!
Beautiful friends, beautiful souls, welcome, Satnam, hola. I hope that you're having a beautiful day today. Today is Tuesday, March 5th. It's 1:17 p.m. here in Sedona, Arizona when I am recording this. Hopefully it's just Tuesday evening when you're watching it. Wednesday morning in some parts of the world. I welcome you to my channel, back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, and each and every week we cover every Tuesday during tea time world events and how they may or may not relate to predictions and prophecy, along with new predictions each and every Tuesday. If you want an accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, you found the perfect tribe, baby. You want to vibe with the tribe? Smash that there subscribe, friend. Smash that subscribe. We would love to have you aboard. Also, you can find down below the links to all my social media platforms, including my newsletter and the March newsletter that outlines everything for the month of March. Always putting out inspirational messages. Special discount that ends on Friday, I believe. So if you want interested in private sessions, private readings, or classes or workshops with me, check out the newsletter down below. And check out my website at josephtittel.com. It's Tittel. Or to make it easier, you can just go to spiritmanjt.com. Takes you to the same place. Also, if you're on Spotify, give me a find on and a follow on Spotify under Spirit Speaks Predictions. And you can find me on all the platforms, Rumble. You can find my short videos of predictions on Instagram and on TikTok as well. And other than that, there was something else I wanted to tell you. Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. If you get a message on a social media platform claiming to be me, it is not me. I will absolutely never, ever send you private messages on any platform other than my own email address, office@josephtittel.com. Other than that, it's not me, friends. I will never ask you for money, gift cards, or whatever the heck these scammers are doing. And many people have been scammed. I've been saying it on this show for years and reminding everybody. And I'm reminding you again. So with that said, let us move on to episode number 107
of Tea Time, baby!
March may feel like a bit of a smooth, sweet ride, which it really has been for the most part. As far as world events, it's going a little bit sour, and it's going to get very sour on the world stage. But for us on a personal level, we can actually continue to ride through March enjoying the sweetness of life. Because as the new moon approaches on Sunday the 10th, the 11th for some people, I would assume, and the elite for the love to force us to change and manipulate our clocks, that is actually a new moon that allows us to really have a great opportunity to manifest things on amazing levels, to make things happen, especially the new moon and the equinox, both those time periods. Plant your seeds, not just seeds to your garden, but your seeds of your intentions of the future. A good thing that I teach and used to do at my events in Pennsylvania for spring equinox is give people 2 sunflower seeds. 2, basically because sometimes one seed don't grow. It's a bad seed in every bunch, right? Take your seeds and hold them in your hand with your intention in your mind of what you're manifesting, whatever it may be. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and blow the breath and your intention onto the seeds 3 times in all. Plant your seeds, water them with envisioning the whole fertility process taking place. Cover those babies up with a little plastic wrap, put a couple holes in there, make it a little greenhouse, let it grow. And I prefer sunflowers because the sun is all about gold. The sun is golden, helps us to manifest. Do that for the new moon coming up. You'll be glad you did. And then plant your plant outside. And the whole intention is as the flower blooms, so does your intentions. So remember, again, set your intentions for this new moon. Plant your seeds. Don't put them outside, of course, because it's probably too cold no matter where you're at. Plant them indoors. Put them in a sunny window facing your east. And you can write down all kinds of things. I like to write down things by calling it in from universe, by saying, thank you, universe, for opening me up and bringing me. Because we need to be open, and we want universe to bring it to us. So you can call in things, whether it be calling in from the universe a new career or business opportunity, new relationships, maybe a new vacation to paradise. Whatever it may be, writing them down is also embedding them into the universe, especially when you write them down. And you do so with emotion, as if you're actually already receiving what you're writing down. Plug into the emotion as if you are actually there already. That's the key to manifesting. Living life as if you already have it. Because in the future, you do. Sometime in the near future. So on the world stage, though, we're going to see the vibration and the energy is going to become very sour. It's going to become aggressive, argumentative, and somewhat angry, especially when we get around the 11th through the 14th. I don't know why, but Spirit showed me that time period between the 11th and 14th. Be aware, on the world stage, we're going to see somewhat aggressive, argumentative, and angry people and leaders. So that's not always a good thing. It's never a good thing, actually. So do not be at all surprised to see some type of surprise military attack taking place in that window of time, with some intense disruptions that come in the global political fields and arenas. It's going to be interesting. Remember also March 9th, we have Mercury changing into Aries. That is going to help us to ignite our minds and give us innovative ideas and help us have this thirst for new adventures. That's the other good thing about this month. It's time to set out on new adventures, friends. Life is more joyful when you make it an adventure. Adventures are joyful. If you like a good adventure, I couldn't imagine you wouldn't. Nothing like a good adventure. So that transit's also going to give us the ability to communicate more boldly, more assertively, and it's basically paving a road for us to have dynamic conversations and breakthroughs with other people. So positive stuff coming up as well. Amusement parks and the new horror house. That's not positive news. Amusement parks are taking a whole new level, friends, of amusement. At least in Georgia, they are at Six Flags at Atlanta, which is where we just witnessed a level of a very negative vibrational level of bratty kids kind of ruining the fun for everybody else. Aren't kids supposed to go to amusement parks to have fun instead of causing ruckus and ruining everybody else's fun? And how'd they even get into the park without parental guidance? Just wondering. They probably don't check that, because I remember going to Great Adventure when I was in my teens. I remember going to the concerts there. I remember seeing, of all people, first one ever, I was 13, Ted Nugent at Great Adventure. I had no idea who the heck Ted Nugent even was, but I was at the concert. That's all that mattered. I was just an ankle biter, 13-year-old ankle biter. So you may recall my visions and warnings that I saw a Pow Pow event coming up at an amusement park, which I even mentioned Six Flags or a state fair. An amusement park like that is what came to me. And as you know by now, that grim prediction became a reality at Six Flags in Atlanta, Georgia over the weekend. Luckily, it could have been way worse than it was, and thankfully it wasn't. But check this out.
Just absolute chaos, as you mentioned there, erupted here near Six Flags earlier this evening, where GBI officials say they are investigating an officer-involved shooting that one person with a gunshot wound. Now, this all started, as you mentioned earlier there, when Six Flags Park security say that they were met with an unruly crowd of about 500 or 600 people here inside the park that were running through the property and fighting. They contacted Cobb County officers for backup. While officers were trying to get that crowd of people off of the property, they say those individuals fired at officers who then fired shots back, hitting one person. And that person was taken to the hospital for treatment. We're told no officers were injured, but a vehicle was damaged. Videos of the incident have been circulating online. They show a herd of park goers stampeding out of the park property, just trying to get to safety at the sound of those gunshots. Park officials said there were no shots fired on park property and that the shooting itself took place on South Service Road, which is obviously just a few hundred feet from what you can see here, park property. But they say that the culprits seem to be underage kids. In a statement from a spokesperson, they said, quote, "Our goal is to provide safe, fun entertainment. It is incredibly disappointing that our community is disrupted at public events throughout the region by groups of underage youth."
So unfortunate. Definitely unfortunate. And how they even get the pow-pow in there? Because I remember going to Six Flags and them having metal detectors and everything way back. They've had them forever, at least in New Jersey they did. I would imagine they have them at all their parks. So how they even get it in? That's a question I'd be asking. Was it inside the park or right outside? That's the other question. I believe they said it was in the park. So is there more to come? That's the important question. Because in my 2024 predictions, if you recall, Spirit did warn us that many events coming revolved around amusement parks. So could there still be another Pow Pow event coming? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. There's going to be. Including the vision I had of a much larger type of Pow Pow taking place. More likely at a state fair or outdoor festival or another Six Flags. So as far as amusement parks, we're going to find that 2024 is going to end up being a record-breaking year when it comes to odd events happening and occurring on amusement park groups. It reminded me, another thing that reminded me is back in, I think it was like 1986 or 87, when there was a fire at the haunted house at Six Flags, New Jersey. And many people sadly didn't make it out of the haunted house. That had to be a real scary haunted house that day. And that was a big deal. And that's when Six Flags, at least in Jersey, took out the haunted house. They never had one since. And they'll probably never have one again. I don't think they have them at any of their Six Flags. I could be wrong, but they definitely don't have one in Jersey. So the kind you walk through, not the drive through, the walk through kind. So I also see in visions today that Spirit showed me a large fire taking place at an amusement park. That's what made me think of the Great Adventure incident that happened back in the 80s. I seen this not long ago. If you recall, I saw a fire at a park, and Disney just had the fire at Cinderella's castle. But that's not all, because Spirit says that there will be more fires at other locations, along with several evacuations due to events. One fire looks quite large. It looks huge, actually. And it reminded me of the boardwalk fires that happened in the past, the New Jersey boardwalks. And that was in my visions, and I said that not long ago that I saw a fire happening at the boardwalks. Not sure if it's Jersey's boardwalks, but this may or may not be related. But I saw one that was quite huge, and it just reminded me of that. Whereas in the past, Spirit said specifically a boardwalk fire. This was different. This was definitely different. So, amusement park incidents are going to be global, of course, and even China. I saw a roller coaster incident that will leave several families, unfortunately, planning funeral arrangements. I love roller coasters. I don't know about you. I love a good roller coaster. But in 2024, I'd be a bit creeped out to ride one. That's just me. Just because I see the vision. So, I don't want them to be my visions. So there may be some type of alignment maybe that's happening, maybe astrologically or something that's affecting the park rides and, of course, people's behavior as well. I would tell you to expect the majority of amusement park accidents to occur in April, August, and in both October and November. So that would be the times. There are also times where we're in, not all those times, but most of those times we're in Mercury retrograde energy shift, which does affect electronics and things. So beware, friends. Be mindful. So Disney parks have already had their hands full in so many ways. Lack of park attendance, lack of employees, like many corporations today, along with incidents that are bound to bring about large lawsuits, like maybe the fire they just had. But Disney in Florida, Spirit says, must be aware and beware of an angry male park visitor that comes back to seek revenge. Spirit didn't show me whether he would or not. Just said beware and aware. Aware and beware. I also see protests forming around Disney parks and facilities in the near future. Big protests. I would think that these would be on the telly. So this is likely going to force Disney to sell off more assets. As I told you last year they were going to do, and if you're not familiar, just recently they just sold off a large portion of their movie film industry. I think to Sony, but I don't remember who it was to. So what's going on? And what's going on with all these kids reaping havoc? Look what they did in Philadelphia. Now look at what they're doing in Atlanta. And it's not even the illegals. It's the kids that live here. We're going to see more of that, kids acting out, until the message is sent, Spirit says. And what's the message? Something that will give kids a second thought before they go and do those things again. That's all Spirit says. Thanks, Spirits. Thanks, Spirits. So be mindful, as always, when you're out and about this season and all throughout this year, especially when you're around any kind of celebratory places where people gather, such as beaches, amusement parks, and sadly, again, music festivals. Now, you may remember if you were following me last year and been hanging out with the tribe and vibing with us that long, last year I predicted that there was going to be a major type of incident and massacre, unfortunately, that I had visions of happening at a music festival. That prediction became a very horrific reality for the folks in Israel back on October 7th. Sadly, I feel these events are still at a high risk, music festivals. Not so much in the United States, actually. Not necessarily all United States, like the rest of the world likes to blame us for. But I also warn all countries of this potentially occurring around, no matter where you are, especially in the late summer and through the autumn season. So I'd say from August to November, that time period with music festivals in other countries, including, again, UK and the Middle East, again, if they have any. Beware. Now, another incident that I have visions is, this was odd, is of an animal attack taking place literally unaliving I believe, a worker, taking out the worker. This reminded me of, I couldn't think of the guy's name. I used to watch him, too. I can't remember his name. The guy in Australia, mate. The guy who perished, and if I recall correctly, it was from a stingray. Wasn't it the stingray's tail that penetrated and unalived him? So this also makes me think of the horrific event that occurred at SeaWorld in Florida. Remember that? With the whale and the girl who also, perished in the waters. So it could be a zoo or it could be a similar place where visitors flock to, but I believe this is related to, one of these is a crocodile or alligator, while I also believe, and it looked more like a crocodile to me. So that would be, I know Australia's got crocodiles. I know Egypt's got crocodiles over there. So I also feel that we're going to see several animal close calls and attacks happening at petting zoos and zoos. Anywhere where they are housing animals, basically, is what Spirit said. Anywhere they're housing animals. And there's also going to be a series of tiger and lion attacks that take place in Africa, India, and a few other places where tigers are housed. Interesting. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. Let's talk about, oh my, stormy weather, baby. Stormy weather. Stormy weather, friends. You may recall that it wasn't long ago in predictions that Spirit warned that the months of March and April would bring about severe flooding and severe weather. We're only just in the beginning of March, so we got a long ways to go still to see this terrific weather that Spirit says is coming the way for many folks across the globe. Not long ago, a warning went out to California and the high elevations from Spirit that a record-breaking snowfall would hit hard and bring about rescue efforts, which is exactly what happened over the past week. Traffic backed up and people stuck in their cars for probably days, I would imagine. And they say there's more on the way. I have no doubt. Spirit says, yeah, plan for it. Definitely plan for it. So who could imagine it would be more than 12 feet of snow? Could you imagine? Your house would be buried. That would make sense. The roof's caving in and everything that Spirit said about that. Spirit told us we would also see park closures in the future, a separate prediction. It's park closures in the future due to weather events, and that happened at Yosemite National Park, where they have accounted for 15 feet of snow in their high elevations. That's insane. And I did not find any rescue clip videos. I looked quickly, but I was in a rush. I'm always in a rush on Tuesdays. So much to do for all you beautiful friends. So I do assure you, though, that there's some less than smart individuals who failed to listen to the authorities who likely were or will be rescued in the near future. Listen if they tell you anything. I won't go into depth on any weather predictions or earth events today. Just have a little bit here. A little warning coming up in a moment. But other than that, like earthquakes and all that, I just put out a thorough video on weather predictions where I even did some map scrying live, in the recording anyway, to tell you what I felt was coming. We even look at the hurricane names and analyze the hurricane names. I will make sure a link shows up somewhere up here above so that you can check out those weather predictions if you happen to miss them. What I will say, y'all, is just wait until all that snow melts towards the end of late March into April. That's when everything Spirit said with the floods is going to happen. And it's not just going to be in California, but many places across the globe are going to see major floods, not just from melting snow, but also from long and terrible rainstorms that will come up for the spring weather. Some tropical in nature. So I would expect there to be tropical storms coming early as the end of this month into April. That's going to drop inches and inches of rain in a short amount of time, bringing about, of course, flood disasters. And as we approach those storms, I'm sure Spirit will warn whatever areas or whatever countries need to be warned. But again, go back to the weather predictions. I saw a vision of homes collapsing off the edge of a mountain in cliffs. Definitely California is where I felt I was. And you see the video footage of these homes where the mountain's nearby, but the homes are still there. Those homes aren't going to be there very long because the mountain slides are going to give way according to Spirit. This is why several severe weather storms that are going to actually take these mountainsides and really wash them away because they're going to turn to mud. They're saturated already. They're going to become even more saturated, especially when the melting snow gives away. And not only the melting snow giving away to the floods that are going to give away those mountains, but Spirit showed me visions of tons of avalanches taking place, like just mountainsides crumbling in snow. And one avalanche being frozen solid ice. So it's melting, it all freezes, and that freezing ice comes tumbling down the mountain. That's like rocks, not just snow. That's going to be very, very, very severe. Not just in the United States, though. My friends in Japan and the higher elevations as well, Spirit said. Mudslides, snow avalanches, and so forth in the higher elevations of Japan. So I also see a small earthquake that's going to shake apart the side of a mountain from the instability caused from previous rains. So I'm guessing California, but it's going to be this small earthquake. I guess it's not that small. That's going to cause this already saturated land to slide off the side of the mountain. So prayers to those people. Hopefully that prediction don't come true because, not all of them do come true. And that's really usually a good thing. Can't be right all the time. Nobody is. Ever. So let's move on to NASA and the military weather conspiracy. This brings me to a few weather-related things that I got to still show you, being we're still a little bit on the subject of weather. I have to show you this because it's really interesting. I showed you last week or a few weeks ago it was actually probably last month that I showed you the video clip of the cloud seeding, the news clip where they were saying, we're going to seed the clouds. And then they got all those torrential floods on the West Coast over and over again. But wait until you see this, because this is interesting, because we talked about this weather stuff, and I showed you on past shows too, last year, a list of all the patents that they have. Not just on weather patents, on controlling weather, but the patents they have on mind control and everything else. It's creepy. And I showed the whole list of patents. They have patents on it, which means that technology exists, friends. 100%. We even have, what was it, President Eisenhower? Or no, it was after him. You control the weather, you control the world. So they were trying that back in the 50s or whenever that was. It looked like video from the 50s. I showed you all that clip as well. So we talked a lot about this subject and the technology that manipulates the weather. Dozens and dozens of different patents, friends. From cloud seeding all the way to literally creating clouds. That's right. And I'm not talking about the clouds created from the chemtrails or the toxicity that they spray from the planes. No, this is different, friends. We are aware of those already. We're aware of those clouds and how they form from the chemtrails and the chemicals in our skies. We know all about that. But did you know that, again, NASA can literally create rain clouds and rain from a very interesting piece of technology? Technology that will have you asking this question, as I did and do. Then why do we have so many droughts? Why are they not using this technology to assist in the droughts? Right? Why not? Like back when California was drying up and the fires and all, they could have used this technology to send big rains to help get those fires out. They could do that to Texas right now. And I don't know where this piece of equipment is that NASA owns, but it's somewhere here in the United States. Check it out.
The first thing they installed was a huge loudspeaker, through which they played white noise to simulate the sound of a rocket. They then sent a number of trucks in different directions out into the wilderness, and the drivers were ordered to stop when the noise levels became acceptable. This gave them an imaginary boundary line, and anyone living on the inside of it was offered a simple choice. Stay, and you'll never hear another television program as long as you live. Or take the NASA shilling and get out. No one stayed, and NASA ended up with exactly what it wanted. 125,000 acres of nothing. They even had to move 5 cemeteries, because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's praying God. It's making its own weather.
Something I found very interesting about that piece is how the gentleman was discussing the noise that it puts off, the loud sound where they told everybody in the vicinity that they needed to, not be there in that vicinity because the sound would affect their hearing. All the strange sounds that are happening all over the world. Trumpets in the sky is what some of them sound like. And we know about the trumpets being blown by the angels. So is it related? I say without a doubt some of it is, but most of it. And even if it is the prophecy of the trumpets blowing in the skies, we don't know that the Bible was still talking about technology. Technology being used by the global elite And that's the sounds that many people are hearing, like this NASA thing. Now, you would agree that it's very interesting, that piece of technology. And again, still has us asking all kinds of questions, all sorts of questions. Like, why have we not used this to put out fires? Because they have the technology now. We know they do it. But they're not letting us have it. Greedy, greedy little ones they are. Greedy big ones they are, actually. So, not only that, now watch this clip of a weatherman. And I wonder if this poor guy even has a job left after this. I just wonder. Check it out.
In Northern California, we've got a bit of an unusual situation. Now, this first portion of the radar cycle, fairly bland and typical, but then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow. Believe it or not, military aircraft flying through the region is dropping chaff. Small bits of aluminum, sometimes it's made of plastic, or even metallicized paper products, but it's used as an anti-radar issue, and obviously they're up there practicing. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is.
Interesting, right? So now you can't even look at your weather radar and know whether it's really rain or whether it's the military doing their little practice tests. Wild, huh? And again, I wonder if that poor gentleman has a job left after breaking that out on the news channel. Prayers to him. Anyway, another interesting thing I wanted to point out to you is the coming eclipse season. Not the eclipse season, you know about that, but the one beginning the end of this month. We have one, I forget the date, March 28th? I forget the date, but it's in my March prediction video. So then we have the one on April 8th. So you know by now that the April 8th eclipse path, the path that it goes on that eclipse, is going to complete the X pattern over northern Texas. I've showed you the video clips and the pictures of it. Now, that's already happening. Now look what's happening in Texas right now, friends. Right? So marked off the X, and it's not even April 8th yet. And look what's happening in Texas. X marks the spot. But this is something I thought was really, really interesting, because we talked about the coming eclipse and we talked about Texas. But I want to bring your attention to the October eclipse, the October 2nd eclipse, which is going to also complete an X pattern, this time right over the Pacific Ocean. So check this out. In this picture, you see that there's another X cross that will form from the path of this powerful eclipse in October. And we see that what's happening again in Texas right now. So could this be a sign that something's going to happen out there in the Pacific? I saw a picture and I just had to share this with you, because mainly because my visions and predictions related to underwater volcano eruptions. Remember that. Underwater volcano eruptions, and remember my recent vision of literally seeing the earth split apart beneath the ocean, causing it to bubble up and likely causing a huge tsunami. So could this X mark the spot? I'm going to say yeah. Something's happening within that vicinity, not necessarily directly on the X. Look at Texas. You know, the fires aren't necessarily directly on the X, but they're down there in Texas. So I'm going to say that vicinity. Luckily, you know, Hawaii's pretty good distance from that, but I'm going to say that that's the area where we're going to witness a major shift in the plates, and likely either a combination of the underwater volcanic explosion and the earth cracking, bringing about a tsunami. So look at this again and look at where you could see a potential of a tsunami hitting. Could hit anywhere. Could hit California. Could hit the whole west coast of the United States and the whole west coast of South America. Something to definitely keep an eye on, especially when we get to October, and Spirit said October would be intense. So we'll have to sit back and see. Speaking of eclipses, check out this very, very creepy thing. And I don't know if this came from... Oh, shoot, I didn't mean to open up every darn picture on my computer. I don't recall whether this came from the airport or whether it came from a shopping mall. But it's very, very kind of creepy. Not even kind of, it's definitely creepy. Check it out. Check out this picture that somebody took. It's on one of those bulletin boards, right? One of those bull boards. Eclipse tips. Schedule errands and appointments early? Why would you need to schedule errands and appointments early on Eclipse Day? I wish they had an explanation. The next one. Have a communication plan with your friends and family. Have a communication plan? Are you telling us our cell phones are going to go off? Are you telling us our communications are going to be cut off? Do they know something we don't know? What else does it say? Have cash on hand in case of limited internet access. Oh, they are telling us that the power is going to go out or we're going to have limited internet access during the eclipse. Again, they definitely seem to know something that we don't. What else does it say? Buy necessary groceries and gas. Well, I've been telling you that since 2020. Expect heavy traffic and long lines for local services. What kind of local services? Why would there be long lines during the eclipse? What's going to happen during the eclipse? So this was put out by THVLL 11, I guess Channel 11 News. It's got the ABC symbol down there. Isn't that ABC with the eye? So there you go, the eye that sees all in their symbol. I thought that was really creepy. I want to know what you think in the comments down below, and let us move on. It appears that the royals are dropping like flies, and the elite, just like Spirit told us about a year ago, we were going to witness that happening. But let's start with Mitch McConnell, whatever his name is. Mitch McConnell. My apologies, Mitch. Last year, I felt very strongly. Remember, Mitch was having those episodes as well. And I said that he would be out in the near future, definitely by this year. And indeed, Mitch did finally announced his resignation. It's like, was he pushed out? Did they force him to resignate? Because that man didn't seem to want to go. I also predicted that there'd be, sadly, a very rough road for Mitch and his health. Mitch McConnell's currently in his 3 personal year, which doesn't really reflect much. It's all about finding his happiness, actually. So yeah, maybe retirement's that. Finding some happiness. Definitely needs it. Doesn't seem to have enjoyed his life very much. Being that old and in the political arena, wouldn't you want to sit back and relax and enjoy your life? I sure in the heck would. Especially when you got their money. Why not? So 2025 is going to be Mitch McConnell's 4 personal year. And as you know, the 4 definitely brings about health issues, and many actually do exit this lifetime in the 4 vibration. Queen Elizabeth did. Many of them do. The 4, and then also there's the 9. So I'm going to say that Mitch, sadly, is going to be dealing with major issues. If he even makes it to 2025, but 2025 will likely be the end of his life on this path in this lifetime. October, I had a strong feeling that was going to impact Mitch McConnell's health, and also the month of June. So those 3 time periods, June, October, and December. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Mitch McConnell pass away between the time period of December and February of 2025. So prayers to him and his family and his health. Remember Spirit showing us that so many politicians, CEOs, and even the high elite, the royals, would begin to drop like flies in 2024. And we've already seen, it's only the beginning of March, we've already seen some of the big royals drop, like Jacob Rothschild. Did you know, look at this, check out this picture here. Look, Jacob was very good buddies with Maria Abramovic. Maria Abramovic. Isn't she friends with Madonna and Lady Gaga, the Kardashians, and even Zelensky? Yeah. You know about her? I'm not even going to say anything. Just look her up for yourself. Just look her up for yourself, friends. So, and Jacob was good old friends with her. Of course he was. She's like, I bet you, the high priestess connected to the, what do they call them? The 13 grandmothers of darkness. It's another thing you can look up. The 13 grandmothers of darkness. And what was it? Anderson Cooper's mom. I can't think of her name. She was one of the 13 dark grandmothers. When she passed away, Hillary Clinton took her spot. So I bet you that Maria is probably the head of it all. I'd put money on it, being she's hanging out with Jacob like that. So the former Prime Minister of Canada, Brian Mulroney, kicked the hay. He was older. I think he was like 84. Not that matters. But he was the one responsible for signing Canada into the 2030 agenda with the WEF and such. Interesting. I thought that was interesting. Thomas Kingston, he's the son-in-law of the Kent Royals, passed away at the young age of 48, according to Buckingham Palace. The Royals are dropping. And then Norway's King Harald was recently hospitalized while he was on vacation. Where was he on vacation? I forget where he was on vacation. Malaysia, I think. I think it was in Malaysia. So it seems to me that there's some type of a plague that's beginning to hit the elite and the Royals. Would you agree? Who could be next? Well, sadly, I don't know nothing about King Harold, but I just saw that he passed because somebody in the comments told me, or not passed, he's going to pass. Well, that just came out of my mouth because that wasn't what I meant to say, so I guess it is what I meant to say. But someone left it in the comments that he was at the hospital or whatever. But unfortunately, I do feel that Harold of Norway is going to soon, King Harold of Norway will soon meet his maker. Could there perhaps be something sinister behind the flies beginning to drop? You know, the elite, they're the flies. Flies are associated with demons too, by the way. Remember the movie Amityville Horror? Used to love that movie when I was a kid. I did a book report on that in about 4th or 5th grade. Imagine what my teacher thought of that. A book report on the Amityville Horror. I was a strange kid indeed. I still am a strange kid. So anyway, is there something sinister behind this? Could the archangels be stepping in to defeat the dark overlords? That sure in the heck would be nice, wouldn't it? Or is it likely based on several other things, starting with the fact of us being in the 8 year of unlimited possibilities, but next year we head into the 9 vibration universally of endings, death of cycles. And if you recall, Spirit told us the time period from 2024 to 2026, absolutely everything was going to shift and change. That everything would be completely different by the time we get to 2026 and 2027. That's because we're going, 2026 is the one vibration. We start the cycle all over again. So many things, including many people in power, are going to exit power starting this year and into next year. Now, Spirit said a lot this year. I would think there'd be more next year just because it's a 9 vibration, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that because Spirit didn't say that. So not only that, again, the 9 years, death of cycles, letting go of, getting rid of, and that's next year. So remember Spirit telling us that back in January, again, that time period is going to be intense, 2024 to 2026. We're only in the beginning of that 3-year cycle. It is a 3-year cycle. It's going to be interesting. Be excited because we need change. Get excited. Hold all good things in the light. Remember, you create your own reality. So for some people, it may seem like they're living in hell or Armageddon's happening to them and all around them. There's going to be those that are like, today's a beautiful day. What can I do to help? What can I do to change? What can I do to celebrate life even more? What side of the fence are you on? I know what side I'm on. I know I'm going to be well. I know everything's going to be great and everything's going to work out positive for me and around me. You focus on that too. The more of us that focus on that, the more potential that we can make that happen for everybody. So no one particular came to mind other than the King Harold guy as far as elite leaving us. Spirit didn't give me any other information. We already talked about the potential for JB. But I would expect, again, that doesn't mean necessarily passing away. It could be just exiting power. There's going to be lots of them. So what I do know is that Spirit does show me that this is just the beginning of the royal elite and politicians falling from power and corruption finally coming into the light. Speaking of corruption, speaking of corrupt, Justin Trudeau finally facing one of his own corruption charges. Not charges. I don't know if there's charges yet, but I've told you many times last year that Trudeau would be out in 2024. Not to mention that Trudeau is in his 9 year of endings, death of cycles. He's done. His marriage is done. He's done. Everything's done for him. And I told you he would face corruption charges. Charges that, unfortunately, he's probably going to get away with, friends. He's going to be free of it. In one way or another, he will. Hate to say it, but makes me want to bite my own tongue. At least he won't be in power much longer. Because, again, he's in his 9-year of endings. And this is the end. This is the end. I sing this to you, Mr. Trudeau. This is the end. My only friend, the end. Check this out.
Security breach at the Trudeau government's most sensitive laboratory, where the most dangerous viruses and pathogens are studied and handled. We have learned that the Trudeau government's head of pathogens was collaborating with members of Beijing's People's Liberation Army who were responsible for bioweapons and bioterrorism. We know now that a People's Liberation Army official was able to gain personal access, walk in the door, look at computers, and have access to all of our most important virological secrets. If you think any of this is hyperbole, read the report yourself. This is from government documents, the Trudeau government's own documents. It says here on page 142, Winnipeg lab scientist Dr. Chu, pathogens unit, the top person in that job, according to documents on page 242, quote, represents a serious and credible danger to the government of Canada as a whole, and in particular at facilities considered high security due to the potential for theft of dangerous materials attractive to terrorists and foreign entities that conduct espionage, damage the economic security of Canada.
Oh my Lord, how does that feel, Justin? Does it feel like you got kicked in your gut? Perhaps like you did to the truckers, except you kept kicking them when they were down on the ground. And Spirit says karma is about to do the same thing to you, JT. Not this JT, but that JT. So I pulled a few cards, just a few. Starting with the Queen of Swords. And I interpret my first two in the way I do it. Well, I'm not going to explain the way I do it. I'm just going to tell you what I got. How's that? First, it showed me that there's a female with dark hair who is extremely deceitful and is seeking revenge on Justin Trudeau in some way. I don't know who that is. Maybe his ex-wife. I don't know. But this female's after him. I also saw a female who, this one I would guess is his wife. They both could be his wife, but this is separate. I saw a female, his wife or his ex-wife. Isn't she his ex-wife now or going to be? She's going to be, that's for sure. But I saw a woman in sadness, and it could also represent somebody that's a widow. Now, I know that for her, she probably feels like a widow since their marriage broke apart. But perhaps if they're still married, she could end up being a widow, according to that first layout. I doubt it. But again, she likely feels like that already. It just showed the woman in sadness all around him. The second card, this is what came up for Trump last week. Interesting enough. The Justice card. The Justice card. Both directions, always my first two cards. So first, it shows exactly what he's dealing with right now. And it's telling him to beware of friends turning on you. Even though they weren't really friends to begin with. You should have known that. You should tap into your intuition, bro. Anyway, it also shows that corruption. Shows that they just realized that you're corrupt. That's what the Justice shows. It shows corruption, the reversed aspect to it. So sadly, Justice also in this case and in this particular layout I did this morning shows that he's likely going to get away with it. Unfortunately. But like I said, hold in the light. At least he'll be gone, right? You won't have to worry about him. What you should all be focused on in Canada is who's going to go in next. Hold in the light somebody positive that's not backed by Soros or the WEF. The Emperor card reversed warns Justin Trudeau of his immaturity, of course. It shows somebody being very immature, inability to control their emotions. It's lacking strength in their inability to control things, especially, again, their emotions. So what this shows me is likely in the month of April, because the Emperor is a 4 vibration. So likely in the month of April, is when we're going to witness some immaturity coming out with Justin Trudeau, some immaturities, failure to control emotions, and ends up embarrassing himself. The Five of Wands reverse shows his ability to disrupt things for his own personal gain. Our cards nailed him to the T. He dispute things for his own personal gain. And also warning that somebody around him, again, is doing the same thing. Disputing things for their personal gain. Likely to take his seat from office is my guess. They're going after him good. Somebody's got a vengeance against him. And it shows a very tricky, contradictive, complex situation happening for Justin Trudeau, especially when we reach the month of May. The Nine of Wands shows major difficulties throughout the year, with sudden changes due to his own hidden enemies. It shows lots of struggles ahead for Trudeau. And I ended it kind of there because I didn't really need to look any more into his future, other than the fact that his wife's going to divorce him, and Canadians in the parliament are also going to divorce him. That's what I have for Trudeau. Moving right along. There has been an obvious attack on our food and food production in the United States and globally. We've seen so many sudden burning down of especially chicken and egg farms. You remember them all happening. We saw cattle dying out in the heat for no apparent reason when it's never happened like that before. Coincidence? I doubt it. I don't believe in coincidences. And we've seen so many other food-related tragedies, mostly from fires. Not to mention that the global psychopaths are doing absolutely everything that they're doing to our farmers. And their whole new green agenda. Green agenda is destroying people's lives. People are choosing to exit farmers because of what's happening to them. It's a very sad thing. All while Bill Gates in China buy up more and more farmland. And the United States still is allowing China to come in here and buy up our land and land around our military bases. There's something seriously wrong with our administration in this country, in our world right now. Seriously, like people, I can't wait till the next big wake-up call comes. It's coming. It's coming. So they clearly seem to want the world to starve. And they think the world's blinded to what they're doing. They're not. We have Paris farmers that are now being rounded up and arrested. They actually, some of them are being beaten in the process. We have the Dutch farmers. And you know what they were doing in the Paris farmers? Any groceries or farm goods that were coming in that were not like from there, they were taken out and destroying. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, they were taking them out and destroying them. That's why they were getting arrested. They were stopping the food from getting in to show people there to give them support. Because, yeah, they're going to make it look like, oh, it's not a problem because we're importing all the food in right now. It's a problem, friends. I mean, look at this video here of these protests. Major protests in the streets. I forget what country this is. Major protests. Remember what I said in my predictions and my visions, that major amount of people awakening and protesting throughout the streets, throughout the world, in big cities. We're seeing it. We're seeing it with the farmers, and there's a lot more of waking up that's going to happen in the near future. But they're literally destroying farmers and their way of life. All, to get control over our food. If we even, have any food in the future. So what's going to come with this? Farmers are going to continue to fight, but the countries are going to continue to try to take them down. When we go into and shift over the next decade into the new earth, Spirit says there will be new ways of farming that'll be healthier for the earth, and we'll be able to regenerate the soils without using toxic chemicals. What we need to be aware of is the genetically modified engineering that the global psychopaths are doing to our foods. And people will begin to avoid foods that are bioengineered. When people stop buying them, they're going to stop making them. What was that store? Aldi's. I saw a video and the girl was in Aldi's and she was turning over the packages of almost everything in the store, even the vegetables. And on the back of the package, right underneath the scan code, it said contains bioengineered food. Don't eat that, folks. I mean, look at what the Pow in the arm did to people. Do you think that I don't trust them at all? messing with our food. Why would you mess with the food? Like, why would you even do that? I just saw another video this morning of, I forget what city it was, but you know how they do community gardens? Community gardens, it's a wonderful thing. And everybody depends on the community garden for, and they did that back in Pennsylvania where I lived. They had a community garden. Well, they were ripping this out, going in and ripping all the vegetables out and ripping everything out on purpose in this city. I forget what city it was. Maybe someone will tell me down in the comments below, or tell us in the comments. I saw the video already. This green agenda is literally destroying things. It's destroying everything. And the next thing Spirit says too is going to be an attack on your natural foods. Kind of like they're doing with the community garden. That's an attack on your natural food right there. There's already states and places throughout the world that are banning home gardening. Not allowed to grow vegetables in your own yard? Yeah, okay. I'll grow them in my basement with grow light if I have to, but you're not going to stop me from planting my veggies. So speaking of which, now look at what's happening in Texas right now. Spirit said that we would see more attacks coming on our food and such, and that we would see more attacks coming that were like the attacks that happened in Hawaii. That was in my prediction. Spirit said there was going to be an attack on Hawaii. Within a couple weeks, that Lahaina wildfire incident happened. And people looked at that closely. People got banned for talking truth about that. A lot of people. They took videos down for people showing truth about that. Not a lot, because they kind of let it blow over. But we don't forget. We won't forget that one. So that same tragedy is hitting Chile. And we now know that the WEF filed for smart city applications in Chile where these fires are burning prior to the fires coming. No coincidence there. There's a lot of evidence, just like Lahaina, that points to strong potential that this was all done by that secret weapon used on a mountain like Mountain Dew, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. So that's what's happening, and we know that's what's happening. Could potentially China be the ones responsible? China would go after Hawaii first, Alaska too, but maybe they couldn't get to Alaska. I will say I wonder why China is now putting blue roofs on all their new constructed homes. And even the older homes are putting blue roofs on everything. Why? I tried to look for a reason why. I couldn't find a reason why, other than a reason that we can all come to a conclusion on very easily ourselves. Wild, right? So, no secret anymore, friends. So everything. Blue remains unharmed. That's why they're painting their roofs blue. Because if anybody tried the same attack on them, it won't affect their buildings. It's exactly why they're painting it blue. We know now. We know for a fact. Be interesting to see if this is what happens in Texas. If we start to see things that are blue that are surviving. I bet you we will. Because remember, Spirit told us that Texas was a targeted state. Told us that 2 years ago. At least 2 years ago. But definitely last year, Spirit kept saying they're a targeted state. They're a targeted state. Then we see the borders being bashed. Now there's probably more immigrants in Texas to vote for who they want them to vote for than there are people in Texas that votes are going to count. Why we have Obama going on video saying, oh yeah, they can go vote. We can't track who votes and who doesn't vote. Like he said it right on video. Basically telling them to go out and vote. Unbelievable. Watch that. Go find that video clip. I meant to grab it and have it for you today, but I just didn't have time. I'm already running late. Running late. Better late than never. That's what I say. So to me, this feels very much like an attack. I have no doubt. And it's an attack that is a land grab. It is a diversion. That's the word I'm looking for, diversion. To divert people's attention about what was really happening in Texas, because that's what everybody was talking about. You don't see them talk about the border now. You see them talking about the fires, right? Yeah, big old diversion. But mostly, the target was on the meat industry. Remember, they don't want us eating meat. They say it all the time. They already have their bug factories to try to feed you bugs. They're already putting bugs in your kids' crackers. Make sure you read the back of your package again and your ingredients. It'll say cricket flour right on the back of your package. They even sell cricket flour chips at Whole Foods. No, thank you. No, thank you. So an attack, because you know what? We had over 1 million acres burned in Texas. Over 100,000 cattle have been taken out. This is going to make meat prices skyrocket. Personally, what I'm thinking is when I have the extra cash, I'm going to go buy a little extra freezer. I'm going to start stocking that baby up with meat. Just as an investment. Steaks, whatever. Stock it up. Because those steaks might be worth a fortune. They might be gold in the future. That's why. It's an investment. An investment to have the food for myself and just to be sure. Because this is definitely an attack on our meat. And Americans, they don't want Americans especially eating the meat that we do. They can eat their cheeseburgers. You know, Bill Gates' favorite food is a hamburger. So he can eat hamburgers, but he tells you you're not allowed to. It's bad for the planet. Cow farts. Cow farts. Now, last week I told you it's dog and cat farts because they want you to get rid of your animals next. And they're blaming it now on an electric company. Because a suit was just filed 2 days ago against, or on Friday, I think it was Friday it was filed, against the electric companies. Claiming that the electric company and power lines, and now they have their little guinea pig out there saying, oh yeah, I saw the pole spark and everything caught on fire. Yeah, I wonder how much she got paid to say that. I'll bet you. I have deja vu, big time. Do you have deja vu hearing power lines and power companies being sued? That's exactly what happened in Lahaina. Exactly to the T. I'm wondering what they're saying in Chile about the fires there and what the cause of the fires in Chile are. That's interesting to me. But here's what I got to say to you that's really important is there's more targets. I wouldn't doubt Texas isn't a target because it's not for the land. I doubt it. I mean, probably some of the land. I mean, there is oil and all there, but we're not allowed to have oil anymore, right? It's something more dark and sinister, mainly probably to take out the diversion in the cattle. No doubt. No doubt. It's an attack on food. Now, also, not only that, Texas farmers are telling you they don't have grass to eat. Check out this clip.
If you don't get the hay to the livestock, what happens here?
The meat market dies.
And tonight, word of the first lawsuit, a woman suing power company Excel saying a wooden pole Excel failed to properly inspect, snapped off at its base, adding powered utility lines hit the ground, igniting a fire. Excel responding to that lawsuit, saying they are working to support the panhandle, adding there has been no official determination of cause or causes for the fires, and investigations are ongoing.
That is very sad, and I feel so sorry for the ranchers there. My heart and prayers go out to all those ranchers for their losses and hope that they recuperate everything better than it was before their losses. Sad, sad. But here's my warning, and here's a potential strong place that I feel could be the next target when it comes to the Mountain Dew technology. The warning is for Florida and our friends in Florida. Remember, Spirit said targeted states. Texas was one of them. Florida was the other. Targeted for what? Likely to flip colors, change the color of the state. That's probably one of the main reasons, especially for Texas, because that's a strong, strong state. One of the strongest when it comes to the elections. So how's Florida fit into that? And I believe and feel strongly that Florida is another eye by the WEF has an eye on Florida for another one of their smart cities. And that's creepy to me. Now, I would think that they would target an area in Florida where there was a lot of wooded areas too. So maybe our friends at Florida can tell us. I've been all over Florida, but I can't think of any like wooded areas that would be a big target, and it would have to be along the coast because they always seem to be right along the coast, right? Chile, Lahaina, California, Canada. Hell yeah. So I'm going to warn our friends in Florida that you're a targeted state by the WEF. And again, you are a potential target for a Mountain Dew type of incident like Lahaina. I hope I'm wrong. And I really pray that I'm wrong. And so it just feels very suspicious, the whole vibe. And it just get pulled very strongly to Florida. Strongly. And if it's not that, an attack, I would say that Florida is definitely going to be enduring some wildfire incidences. But I have no doubt, again, where it's coming or how it's starting. So 15-minute cities, friends. So maybe somebody can do their research. I don't have time. Spend all my time providing this content for y'all. Somebody can look into, because they have to put applications in. Like they put applications in Hawaii. They put applications in Chile. It's got to be an application. We have to find where their applications are, and then we'll know where the biggest targets are. So somebody needs to do some research on that and let us know. Let us know in the comments. Where have they filed applications for smart cities? And let us move on, because the United Nations migration crisis agenda is going on right now. So more and more troubles we have with illegals. And you didn't need to be psychic to see that one coming at all. Even though there's people that are definitely not psychic and don't feel it coming because they're blind to everything. Over 100 immigrants, illegal immigrants, attacked a security guard at a Home Depot in Chicago. Remember, Spirit warned Chicago too. Spirit sent many warnings to Chicago in the recent past. And my feeling is the warnings for Chicago has to do with sleeper cells. That's one of the cities that would be activated when they activate sleeper cells. Cells that could become active during the election time. That would not surprise me. Or in early 2025. Because remember, well, you don't remember. You'd have to be following me many years ago. I put out a video, 2025 to 2032. The time period on the planet that Spirit showed me would be the most difficult time for humanity and for the planet. That window of time, 2025 to 2032, which I deemed the 7 years of tribulation. So 2025 could be when they activate these sleeper cells. And, early 2025. That could also be we might not see an election till then. That wouldn't surprise me either. They're going to do something to try to sabotage it in the long run. If they feel like they're not going to win, they're being the elite and who they pick to win. You should know who they're picking to win. You should know that by now. Same person, same way. Let all the people over here to vote for them. That's crazy to me, friends. Crazy. Our system needs to be replaced. Big time. Big time. Now, the United States Army just ended 24,000 or 5% of job positions in what they are calling a restructuring measure. Restructuring measures. Why are they restructuring the military, taking away all those jobs? If you're restructuring the military, it should be the opposite. You should be hiring 24,000 new jobs, not getting rid of them. Or do they already have a plan of who they're going to put in there? Oh, yeah, they do. The illegals, of course, which some police stations are now offering illegals the opportunity for instant citizenship by joining the military or becoming a police officer. While we have many police authorities letting go of police officers and detectives, especially detectives. Why detectives? Well, because detectives are the ones that find out truth, right? They're the ones that snoop around. They don't want you snooping around, so they're going to get rid of you. So, crazy, friends. And crazier is that message that Obama put out. So it's like literally the fall of the Roman Empire all over again. And I think I was in Rome when it fell. In another life, of course. This is just going to get more and more out of hand. All of a sudden, they're pretending they have concerns about borders, not just in the United States, too, other countries where they're voting, right? It all comes down. All of a sudden, they care. All of a sudden. You had 3 years to care here. And in the other countries, you had years to care, too. All of a sudden, they decide they want to care. They don't care. They really don't care. All they care about is their bank accounts and their power and control. What I care about is witnessing the awakening of humanity, because it is here, it is coming, and these eclipse seasons are going to be wild, friends. Wild stuff's going to happen. So why are the elites selling out all their bunkers? Is there an invasion coming that they know about? Or is it the planet Nibiru, as I talked about many, many, many times? So first, check out this video from this guy. He runs an underground bunker company. He builds them. And I thought what he had to say was really, really interesting. Check out these 2 clips here.
I think they do know something. They've built deep underground bunkers across America and Europe and Russia and China in preparation for something that they know is going to come. But have they told us about it? No. And why? Because the government can't tell you about a problem that they don't have a solution for or that they can't provide. And doing so would create total social, economic collapse. It's anarchy. And that's what you want to worry about.
Interesting. So what did the elite know? You know, last week I talked about it and told you they were all selling out all their stock options. Bezos sold $10.5 billion of his stocks. I think the Waltons, who own Walmart, I think it was like $5.4 billion, if I'm correct, that they sold out. And they're selling all their stocks. Stock market's going to crash, friends. The stock market is going to crash hard. I still say probably October. That October has been coming to me for a while. I wouldn't trust it at all this year. Now, again, if you know what you're doing, watch the elite, because as soon as it all crashes, they're going to run in and start buying stuff again, right? Right now, they're buying gold and silver. Gold is certainly going to go up to over $3,000 an ounce. And I have no doubt that over short term, but still long term, over the next 5 to 10 years, silver is going to skyrocket too. As a matter of fact, I'm taking out a little bit of money to go buy a bunch more silver. If I had money to buy a bunch of gold, believe me, I would have a bunch of gold too. So, but they're building underground bunkers, friends. Look at what's his name's building in Zuckerberg. What is a $100 million bunker in Hawaii? Right near where all the Lahaina fires were. Interesting. Wonder what that's all about. With an underwater submarine, so he can escape. What's happening? I'm telling you, I know what's happening. They know what's coming. The comet Apophis, followed by Nibiru, the red planet, the Hopi prophecy. I'm going to leave a link up here. If you missed it, I did a whole in-depth video called Billionaire Bunkers, and I forget what the rest of the title is. But I showed you the underground bunkers in that video that our countries have. Secret bunkers that people got access to. Along with, I show in that video, the future maps that were channeled through by different people, including one that's alleged to be the U.S. Navy map of the Earth after this all happens, which I believe those maps are all incorrect. But if you want to know where your safe zones are, that's the video, Billionaire Bunkers and Safe Zones. It's an in-depth video that talks about the whole Hopi prophecy, when it's happening, how I know that that's what's happening. And I'll give you the date is Friday, April 13th, 2029. And it's not going to end everything, but it's going to shift the Earth. It's already shifting the Earth. As it approaches, it's so big that it's still shifting everything in our atmosphere, in our galaxy. Again, watch that video. Check it out. Billionaire Bunkers and Safe Zones. That's what they're doing. That's why they're building it. Not only that, they're probably running scared too. And my feeling is they're running scared. They're starting to run scared because people are waking up and getting fed up. And when people get fed up, people go after the elite. Remember them? Whose door was it? They were protesting at their front door. Was it Bezos? I think it was Bezos. A couple years back in 2020. They were camping out and they had to leave. And yeah, so that's what's happening. It's a combination of things. But of course they know. It's out there. The information's out there. People just don't want to believe what's happening. It's happened in history every so many thousand years, and it's going to happen again. And I am looking forward, because remember my visions where Spirit, my channel prediction, Spirit said people would take to the streets to look into the skies. The Bible says the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. It leads us to a better earth, that's for sure. A better place. Now, one other thing I see a huge outbreak of West Nile, or something a little different than West Nile, but similar to West Nile. And I see this hitting parts of Africa and spreading. And this is also, you're going to see when this all comes about, this big outbreak, they're going to push the bump. I'm going to start calling it the bump. I'm going to push the bump. Yep. Like mumps. We'll call it mumps. They're going to push the mumps. That's a better word, the mumps. Stores in New York City are going to start bailing out and closing down in the near future, especially when events take place on the streets of New York City that are going to have people not even wanting to shop there anymore. So that's the message Spirit gave me today. You know, you saw that yet another spy balloon off the coast of Alaska that they're telling us they don't know what it is. It's a spy balloon, no doubt about it. And you see in Brazil, they're protesting like crazy. And in Mexico, the military's fighting the cartel. Crazy stuff. And Macy's announces that they are closing 150 stores. Remember, I talked about store closures a couple years ago. Back in 2020, I think it was. And it's happened. I mean, thousands of stores. In some towns, small towns, they don't have a store, even grocery store. They have to drive far to get to it. It's been happening. But Macy's, they're not a part of your life anymore. Isn't that their slogan? Macy's, we're a part of your life. Isn't that their slogan? Well, not anymore. At least in 150 locations, they're not. They're out of here. Out of here. They're a big corporation, so I don't get at all saddened when big corporations begin to close their doors. Doesn't bother me. I'd rather see mom and pop stores survive more than anything. Even my grandparents owned a grocery store before we had grocery stores like we have now, where you went down to the corner grocery store in Philadelphia and grandpop would go in the back and grab the big thing of meat, slab it down, and cut your steaks right there in front of you. That was the way to eat. That was the good days of eating. That was the way to eat. And we'll go back to that again in the future. And I got to go upload all this. So I wanted to tell you, though, also that I had someone sent me a card and a donation, and I left that in my car. So I'll show you all that next week. But to let that person know I did receive it. Thank you so much. And I don't remember who it's from, but I know it's in my car. I forgot to grab it. My apologies. Friday, I'm going to be doing a live with my new software program. I'm not sure. I think I know what the live's going to be based around the Antichrist in the video I want to share with you all. But it could be something different if something different pops up. So don't forget to vibe with the tribe. You got to smash that subscribe. Thank you so much for showing your love by clicking that love button down below. It helps this information get out to others. And it just shows your love for all the time and effort and energy I put into this content for all of you. Thank you so much for vibing with the tribe. And a big thank you to all the contributors who make this free content possible for everybody else. I couldn't do it without you. So I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. And remember down below, all the links down below, sign up for the newsletter. I have upcoming classes coming in for the late spring, early summer. Going to check them out. Discount code for private sessions that expires on the 9th. So you're going to want to grab that as soon as you can. And visit my website at josephtittel.com or spearmanjt.com. I used to have that web link once upon a time, spearmanjoseph.net. It was long time ago. Long time ago. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's content. I have much more coming your way in the near future. Until the next time, beautiful friends, beautiful souls, celebrate life, celebrate you. Be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. And remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Why? Because you're amazing. Go celebrate your amazingness and rock out your bad self and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.